Very good evening to our listeners on Manx Radio AM 1368. I'm Rob Pritchard and welcome to Saturday Sport Classified, your latest roundup of all the football, hockey and rugby results across a packed schedule this Saturday over the next hour or so. We're going to turn to football first, and before we get to our local fixtures, we'll take a look at the North West Counties Football League Premier Division, where FC Isle of Man have now recorded back-to-back victories after a hard-fought 1-0 win away at Barnoldswick Town in the NWCFL Premier Division this afternoon. Young striker Tom Creer getting his second goal in as many games to bring all 3 points back to Manx shores. Well, at full time, I spoke to FC Isle of Man interim manager Paul Jones to get his thoughts on his side digging deep for the win.
Yeah, a gritty one, to be honest. The pitch was quite heavy again, and there wasn't a huge amount of football played, but we showed an awful lot of resilience, especially in the second half. And they created a few chances. They playing eight players in the box and knocking long balls into our area to put us under a little bit of pressure. But the lads were fantastic again, and that's the third half of football now that we've not conceded a goal. And when you do that, you always give yourself a chance of winning games. And we've had a couple of chances in the second half, and Tom Creer's put one away after a really good bit of work from Charlie Higgins and his cross across the 6-yard box, and Tom was just there to poke it home. So no, we're really, really happy. It's another bit of progress towards kind of turning our league position around, but a really strong performance. And as I said to you on Thursday when we spoke, if we have a good performance, it gives us a chance to win a game of football, and that's happened today. You mentioned him there, your match winner, Tom Creer. That's his second goal in as many games. How much confidence is running through him at the moment? I hope quite a lot. What he gives the team off the ball as well in terms of his running when we don't have it, to really make it difficult for defenders to be comfortable on the ball. He's absolutely fantastic with his work ethic and energy. So it's always nice to get that dividend for him, really, with a goal. And he doesn't need many chances, Tom. Anyone who's watched him in local football knows he's a very good finisher of the ball, and we've been fortunate to give him a couple of opportunities, and he's made a couple of opportunities himself, and he's put it away. So no, I'm really happy for him. But I think, we spoke before the game, we feel like we're building a little bit of momentum and confidence in the group, and this will have done wonders for everybody, not just Tom. And in terms of, you mentioned that it was maybe not as fluid a game as you've had in the past on this maybe particular pitch or against this particular team, but what does that say about your team's character, that maybe when the game's not flowing so much, that they're still staying resilient, particularly defensively? Yeah, 100%, Rob. It's really important. And we again had an awful lot of young players, under 21s, under 20s on the pitch, and for them to come out and come to a club who's in a really rich vein of form and beating and they're playing well against teams that are high up in our league, to come here and withstand a real physical test with some experienced players, hopefully stands them in really good stead. They've really battled. They put their foot in where they needed to. They've played some not particularly pretty football at times, but that's what you need to do sometimes. When we had an opportunity to play, we played, and the goal came for some really good football. But yeah, the other 89 minutes of the game was the other side of it, and everyone showed that they could do that for 90 minutes. And really pleased for them. They've been excellent. Off the back of this result, another game against a team in a similar position to you, Litherland, coming up at home next week. What are the big messages you're taking from the last two results, including today, that are going to be really key to getting a result next time you're in action at the Bowl next Saturday? Yeah, it's more of the same, really, Rob. We have to more than match people with our energy and intensity, and make sure that when we're moving around the pitch, we're doing it as a group of 11 players and not just in ones and twos. And if we do that and we're in the right places on the pitch more often than not, then we've got really good players when we win the ball back to go and cause teams some problems. So hopefully we can keep building on that. We'll have another good couple of sessions on Tuesday and Thursday, which will build on the work that we're already doing, and then hopefully we see a little bit more progress on the pitch on Saturday, and we put in another really good shift and good performance, and we end up with a result at the end of the game.
That's Paul Jones, interim manager of FC Isle of Man, after FC Isle of Man's hard-fought 1-0 win away at Barnoldswick Town in the NWCFL Premier Division earlier this afternoon. Well, the win means that FC Isle of Man go level on points with Barnoldswick Town in the division on 23 points, and crucially, there's now an 11-point gap between FC Isle of Man and the relegation zone, the bottom two places. Well, before we take a look at some of the local fixtures, he's been collating all the data furiously in the last few minutes. We'll just get the first words this evening from Tony Mepham. Well, Tony, very good evening to you.
Good evening to you, Rob.
Well, taking a look at that, just to start with, Barnoldswick Town 0, FC Isle of Man 1. Tom Creer, second goal in as many games as well, deciding the game. How big a 3 points is that for FC Isle of Man?
Well, it's huge 3 points, and you've just rightly said, it just takes them away from the danger part of the table, doesn't it? And two impressive results. The big thing about it is, Rob, they tightened things up at the back. If you remember, we were speaking about it 3 weeks ago. They weren't scoring many and conceding a lot. They've got 2 last week. They've got 1 this week. But it's the way they've tightened things up at the back, and well done to, people like Phil Kelly, who's come in and playing an unusual position because he normally plays right back for his club, and he's played centre back before. It didn't quite work, but him and Alex Maitland seem to have this really good partnership. James Rice has been in good form, and then when you look at Jacob Cook and also Morgan Taylor, Morgan, he's done really well because he's a small player, but he's a tricky little player, and he's played at that right back position for the Ireland team. So it's good. They've kept things nice and solid at the back, and Tom Creer at the moment is on fire. He scored 1 goal, but he's causing all sorts of problems, and that's what you need.
Speaking of the younger players, speaking to Paul Jones ahead of this game, he said that with some of the younger players that have been given an opportunity in recent weeks, that the attitude of the young players is quite infectious amongst the group. It brings a freedom and a fresh energy. Do you think going forward, whilst they're still adapting to this level, that sort of confidence, I suppose, being able to exude that on the pitch will be good in developing them, but also getting results? Well,
it is, because if you think back a few weeks ago, Tiernan Garvey, when he made his debut and got man of the match and did really well, and it's confidence building for them, and maybe the younger ones come into the starting lineup or on the subs bench and they go, well, I'm not too sure about this. Am I worthy of my position? Well, I think now they're showing that they are. And the saying in sport, and yourself in hockey, is if you've got better players around you, you play better yourself, and you just feel part of it. And Tom Creer, I thought at the start of the season, was a person that Blaine Slattery would have brought into his squad, but he wanted to have a look at him, and the way it is, FC Isle of Man have got him now, and he's proven his worth. And when you look at some players who are coming back from injury as well, it's making things look pretty good at the moment for the squad at FC Isle of Man.
Well, there you go, FC Isle of Man, 3 points today at Barnoldswick Town. Well, let's take a look, because the last couple of minutes we've just been getting the scores together from the Manx footballing leagues across the divisions this Saturday, and we do have them right now. Still, I believe, 1 result just outstanding, but we may be able to get to that in a couple of minutes' time. So here are your classified Manx football results for Saturday, the 3rd of December. Starting with the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Peel 4, Ramsey 1. Ayr United 2, Corinthians 4. St George's 1, Douglas Royal 4. St John's 1, Douglas High School Old Boys 2. Union Mills 5, Onken 0. Russian United 2, Laxey 1. In DPS Limited Division 2, St Mary's versus Governors Athletic, the early kick-off awaiting result. Castletown 5, Foxdale 4. Colby 2, Braddon 7. Michael 3, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 2. In Canada Life, Combination 1. Onken 5, Laxey 1. Moran versus Douglas High School Old Boys awaiting result. Ramsey 4, St John's 2. Corinthians 0, Peel 2. And DPS Limited, Combination 2. Braddon 8, Colby 1. Foxdale versus Castletown awaiting result. Maloo 5, Pulrose 4. And Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 3, Michael 1. And that concludes the classified results so far for the Manx footballing divisions this Saturday, the 3rd of December. Well, Tony, we'll bring you back into things once again here. We'll start with the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and Peel, well, they went into this with a 6-point gap at the top of the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and they've held on to that today against a Ramsey side who were really pushing for those Descartes Railway Cup places. But that's going to take a blow with Ramsey going down 4-1 away at Peel.
Yeah, I think Ramsey, I haven't done the maths yet, we'll have a look at the league tables in a minute, but I think that's them done. They can't get into the Descartes semi-finals. I could be wrong on that one, but today Rhys Oates with a couple of goals, and it was Rhys who started it off, and Lee Gale with one, and Congealt Dillon got the other one. I think I've got a little bit of a report on this one which I can give to you. Was Rhys Oates 2, Lee Gale and Congealt Dillon. Ramsey 1, Chris Duggan. Rhys Oates opened the scoring after 3 minutes, but Ramsey matched Peel up to the interval. Lee Gale scored 8 seconds into the second half, which changed the game, and Rhys Oates made it 3-0 5 minutes later. So 51 minutes, certainly Peel 3-0 sitting comfortable. Chris Duggan thundered one in from a narrow angle to reduce the arrears, but with a minute to go, Lewis Moran played in young substitute Congealt Dillon, who marked his first team debut with his final goal of the game. So terrific result, keeps Peel top of the table well and truly, 28 points, and they're still 6 points clear of Uni Mills.
What's making them the team to beat at the moment? Because it has been quite close up until maybe the last couple of weeks when Peel have extended that advantage between those top teams. What's making them the team to beat at the moment?
I think consistency is the one for Peel. They drew with Corinthians earlier on in the season, but when you look at the other clubs just below them, they've dropped silly points against sides you'd expect them to win, and Peel haven't done that. And I watched them last week, and they work hard, and there's still 2 or 3 what I would call first team players missing. So Daniel Bell's in a good position, and the important thing for them is that qualifies them for the Descartes Railway Cup now. So they're in there. We've got rearranged fixtures again next week. We've changed it round a little bit just to see if we can get our 4 qualified. But Peel, I think everyone knew at the start of the season they're going to be a team that would be right up there, and they're proving that. And a lot of it goes down to the quality you've got up front. And when you talk of Rhys Oates, you talk of Lee Gale, there you go. That's why they're doing well.
Before we move on in the Premier League, 2 more results have just come through. Thanks very much for sending those through to the studio. DPS Limited Division 2, St Mary's 14, Governors Athletic 0. And also in DPS Limited Combination 2, Foxdale 3, Castletown 3. Before we come to those, we'll stay with the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Ayr United versus Corinthians. Ayr United 2, Corinthians 4. And it was Ayr United who actually took control of this game, Tony.
Yeah, they did, and Ayr United were 2-0 up after 30 minutes, so they were looking good. I think Sean Kelly got the first one. I did say if he played with that tight pitch up there, if he pings one, then there's a good chance it's going to go for goal. And it was Harry Best who got the second one. I believe Jamie Callister had 3 attempts and hit the bar, so it wasn't all sort of one-way traffic. But Corinthians, it was Josh Ryden who scored from the penalty spot. Jay Chatwood scored one. Ryan Gartland, Danny Gerrard. Sorry, Danny, you're not the tallest of players, but he scored with a header. Dan Simpson corner it was, and he finished it off. But good first half an hour by Ayr United. But then when Corinthians sorted out whatever problems there were, they got it back together, and the penalty was awarded. I think it was an infringement by Nick Hurt, player manager, and at least Josh held his nerve and scored it. Good result for Corinthians, and I'll do the sums in a minute, but that puts them in the driving seat as well to qualify with a rearranged game against Union Mills next week to seal it.
I believe I'm right in saying Corinthians still undefeated as well.
They are. I don't like saying that word. They've had 2 draws, one against Peel, but yeah, they are. And when you look at sort of the league tables now, with another score will come at the minute, it's changing just a little bit because Peel are miles ahead, if you like, 6 points clear, but they have played 11 games just like Union Mills. But then below them, St John's have played a game less, Corinthians have played 3 games less, and Ramsey have played a game less, and Laxey had played a game less. So, you know, by the time those sides play the rearranged fixtures and maybe get points on the board, it will tighten it up. But at the moment, Peel are the team to beat.
Very well, and then we move on to a battle towards the bottom of the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and this result might have some extra connotations further down the line. St George's hosted Douglas Royal, and it was the visitors with a very important 3 points coming from this. It finished St George's 1, Douglas Royal 4.
Yeah, and that's a great result for Douglas Royal, and we touched on at lunchtime. They found it tough lately, losing players to FC Alaman, but today they got it right, and young player Harley Jackson got 2, well done Harley. James Clark got 1, and Sean Traylor. 4-1 it was in the end for Douglas Royal. Haven't got St George's goal scorer. Bit of a report, thank you very much, Michael Fitzmaurice, for this. Geordies went 1 up early second half, but Royals responded to the setback well up their game and ended up deservedly winning. Geordies went down to 10 players near the end because they only started the game with 12, whether I don't think there's any red cards, but whether there's injuries or whatever. But St George's are in trouble at the bottom of the table because certainly with losing that game, that one keeps them next to the bottom. And when you look at sort of Moran, they're also under a little bit of pressure there. So those two sides need to get some points from somewhere.
And where are they going to come from if they are in just, as you say, just maybe a bit of a rut still at the moment? Where do you see them possibly gaining some ground?
Well, I always say if you get 14 points plus, you should be safe. When you look at St George's, they're blessed now with Chris Bass Jr. coming back into the squad. They've got Sean Quay, who played today, back in the squad. Kieran McNulty as well, not FC Isle of Man, so he's come back into the squad. So it just helps, but it's just getting the other people fit, and Ashley Higginbottom's one who they could do within there, Sam Kane as well. So when you look at that 5 or 6 players, Rob, that's like an FC Isle of Man team. So it's just getting those players available for them to play and see if they can try and get some points on the board. It's not panic stations, they've only played 10, so they've got 14 games to go. But you do want to sort of breathe some sort of, if you like, life into the team, because you don't like getting beat week in, week out, and that's what's happening to St George's at the moment.
Have to wait and see how the season pans out. We'll back out to the west again. St John's hosted Douglas High School Old Boys, and I think this raised a little bit of an eyebrow. This result, a big result for the visitors. Douglas High School Old Boys, they beat St John's by 2-1.
Yeah, and at lunchtime I just thought it was a no-brainer that you would go for St John's to win this one. I don't know who got the goal. If you could text us through, please, 166 177. But the evergreen, Martin King, he's 35, 36 at the back for Old Boys. He got one. Ryan Healy, by all accounts, was a 30-yarder, and the goalkeeper stood no chance at all. And a great note as well, Anthony Page, superb refereeing today. So take a bow, Anthony. Good performance by him, and a great 3 points for Douglas High School Old Boys, because now they've played 9 for 8 points, and they sort of a little bit more comfortable. But with Russian winning today, they still haven't climbed up a position in that table.
Very well, moving on, and Union Mills versus Uncombe. We looked at Union Mills, as we have done for the last couple of weeks, at the great form they've been in, and they've continued it again this week, haven't they, Tony?
Yeah, defensively it wasn't too good, because last time I heard, Rob, it was 4-2 to Union Mills, and I'm guessing that was about 15 minutes from the end. So I don't know what went wrong, but Leo Fox, he scored 2 against his old club. It's always nice to do that. And Tom Lancaster got 1 and an own goal as well. Haven't got Union Mills goal scorers, so if you could text us through, please, 166 177. But it doesn't matter. The important thing is Union Mills get the 3 points. They go on to 22 points, and they move 3 points now ahead of St John's.
Very good result for them. I feel deceived, Tony, because I've got it written down here. You put it as Union Mills 5, Uncombe 0. That's not the case, is it?
No, 5-4. 5-4 it was.
There we go. Cracking game. And also as well, Tony, you wrote this one down south as well, between Russian United and Laxey. Close contest, but the Southerners coming out on top. Russian United beating Laxey by 2-1.
Yeah, and it was all down to the first sort of 10 or so minutes, I think, in this game, because Russian, it was a good cross in from the right-hand side, and Aaron Hawley was there and headed it. He headed it the right way. It was like a rubberneck job, and went to the goalkeeper's left-hand side, hit the bar, came down. He had another pop at goal. It didn't go in. And then it came out, and there was the number 11, Lewis Fox, to hit it. Now, we thought he got the goal, but evidently Jordan Watterson got a touch to it as it was going in, because it was going wide, he thought. So the goal has been awarded to Jordan Watterson from the pools panel, if you like, and that gave Russian the lead. And then it was about 8 or 9 minutes later, the second one went in. Similar sort of setup. Jack Thompson it was. This time he found himself in the penalty area. Put it past the keeper to make it 2-0. Now, the second half, you expected everything to happen, but it was a lot tighter. Russian didn't have too many chances. Laxey had a few chances. but towards the end it was Tom Smith who bundled the ball over the line, but the goalkeeper reacted. It was just like Adam Killier did Corinthians against St John's. You can't do that. He pushed the player, and David Kelly, who I thought was absolutely superb today in that game, gave him his second yellow, red card it was, and off he went. So Aaron Hawley took up the goalkeeper's gloves. They were down to 10 for about 3 or 4 minutes. They didn't get another chance, Laxey, and the 3 points go to Russian, but they worked hard. But Laxey today, I thought it was them to win it because the squad that they had out was so strong, but it just didn't come together for them, and they'll be disappointed with that.
Before we move on to Division 2, talking about maths, I think it is, because as you've pointed out as the FA this week, arrangements being sorted around the Descartes Railway Cup. Is there a realistic chance that by the 10th of December, so next Saturday, we could have those top 4 in place and confirmed?
Yeah, I think we'll be okay, hopefully. Weather permitting, that's the key one. And way some of the results have gone today, because now Peel have played 11 games, so they'll finish their competition next week. I think they've got a game. Union Mills have played 11. St John's are on 10 games now with 19 points. Then you've got Corinthians who have only played 8 for 20 points. Then when you look at Ramsey, who have played 10 for 14 points, and then you've got Laxey who have played 10 for 14 points, and then Ayr United, who was the one that we were looking just below that, they have now played 9 games for 13 points. So, at the moment when you look at Ayr United, you put another 9 on that, that's 22. Laxey can get another 6 points, so they could go on to 20. Ramsey could get another 6 points, they could go on to 20. So the way I see it is St John's could do with another sort of 3 points really to make themselves safe. Corinthians probably get away with maybe 1 point. So St John's have got a rearranged fixture next week, so have Corinthians. So if the results go our way, then that means we can get the semi-finals on the 17th.
Very well, we'll wait and see. Plenty of
data
still to be put into place, I think it's fair to say. OK, let's have a quick look through the other divisions today. DPS Limited Division 2, well, St Mary's took on Governors Athletics. St Mary's out in front in Division 2, and they've shown it again today. And a day to forget for Governors Athletics. St Mary's beating Governors Athletic by 14-0.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough game for them, and thanks to Anthony Dooley for the results, because half-time it was 8-0, Rob, so good performance by them in the first 45 minutes. And Owen Canepa coming back from injury over the last couple of games. He got 4. Chris Asbridge got 3. Josh Evans got a couple. I wonder if they were both headers. Will Coyle got a couple of goals. And Joe Burquist, Steve Collister and James Murphy completed the scoring for St Mary's. Comfortable victory in the end. St Mary's 14, Governors Athletic 0.
And just a quick note about Union Mills. Actually, you mentioned you were looking for goal scorers from the Canada Life Men's Premier League game. We've just had those through. Thank you very much for sending those in. Tyler Hughes with a brace, so 2 goals for him. And then goals apiece for Luke Booth, Matthew Milligan and Will Miller in that Union Mills result. Well, moving back now to Division 2 then, and the teams trying to chase St Mary's down, all making statements as well this week. Castletown took on Foxdale in what was expected to be a very close game, and we did have an absolute thriller down south, it seems, but Castletown getting the points they needed, but only just beating Foxdale by 5-4.
Yeah, bizarre first half, because it was Castletown 0, Foxdale 2. Trying to get Foxdale's goal scorers through, but for Castletown, usual suspects. Edward De Silva got 2 goals, Nathan Cardy on the score sheet, Alex Crawley and Junior De Silva, so a great second half performance scoring those 5 goals. We haven't got the scorers through for Foxdale just yet, but just shows you that they're up there. They're competing with like St Mary's and Castletown. So with those 2 results in today, the league table doesn't change at the top. St Mary's now have played 10 for 23. Castletown have played 7 for 18. So a good battle between those 2. And then you can't forget Braddon. We'll come to their score in a minute. Braddon are in 3rd and Michael are in 4th.
And I've been reliably informed that Josh Evans' second goal for St Mary's, you were talking about how they were scored. I've just been told here that it was scored from the halfway line.
Wow. Josh will live on that one tonight, I'm
Not
sure.
too bad, that is it. OK, let's move on to Colby versus Braddon, and the Braddon side that have opened a few people's eyes this season with some impressive performances. They've done so again, winning away at Colby by 7-2.
Yeah, good performance by them. And Callum Holden, one of the stars again, he got 3. Mark O'Neill on the score sheet with just 1 goal. Joe Burrows got 1. And Nick Hatton got 2. Jordan Edge got one for Colby, and it's your writing, Rob, so I'll let you look at your sheet. Who got the other one? Connor somebody?
Connor Morton.
Connor Morton, good man, got the other goal for Colby. So that's a great result for Braddon, because I didn't expect it to be that wide. I know Colby are a little bit down on the table. They're 8th, Braddon are 3rd. But, Braddon are still on the same points as Castletown. The 7 goals today will have done their goal difference a world of good as well. And it's starting to look like those 4, St Mary's, Castletown, Braddon and Michael United, the champions are going to come from there.
Well, one of the names you mentioned last there is a battle up in the north between Michael. They were hosting Ramsey Youth Centre. And another close game here, but Michael again also getting an important 3 points on the board, just beating Ramsey Youth Centre by 3 goals to 2.
But when you look at the league tables, Michael had played 6 this morning, and Ramsey Youth Centre had played 8, and both on the same points. So Ramsey Youth Centre have crept up. But today it was Martin Murphy who got both goals for Ramsey Youth Centre. Haven't got Michael's goal scorers through, so if they can text us through 166 177, and we'll give them a mention.
OK, let's move into Canada Life. Combi 1 there. We'll have a quick rattle through these. Onken 5, Laxey 1.
And that's all the information we've got. Goal scorers, please, if you could. But good result that for Onken against a younger Laxey side.
Any goal scorers, do send them in 166 177. But we don't have a score yet as well for Moran versus Douglas High School Old Boys. Tony, I don't know if you've had any of it. Oh, here we do. Yes, Tony has an update for us.
Moran 5, Old Boys 1. Thanks, Dean Turton. He's just trying to get the goal scorers now off their manager. But Old Boys again struggling down towards the bottom of the table. Couldn't do much about it today against a Moran side who were in good form.
Good result from around there. Yeah. And then we have Ramsey 4, St John's 2.
Yeah, and I've got that through actually from one of the players, and he says it was 3-2 to Ramsey. So we'll get that one checked. But Lewis Taylor got one of the goals for St John's. Kean Lease got the second one, and we'll just check on that one. But I've got here, and I think it'll be right. It was Ramsey 3, St John's 2.
And just a quick message in. Thank you very much for this. The Michael scorers against Ramsey Youth Centre were Kieran Lane, Carl Moore and Sam Greasley. Your 3 goal scorers for Michael in that 3-2 win over Ramsey Youth Centre. And rounding off Canada Life Combination 1, Corinthians 0, Peel 2.
Always going to be a tough game for Corinthians, because Peel are competing with Russian at the top of the table. And when you look at Russian, still undefeated. They've played 9 and got maximum 27 points. Peel today now, that puts them played 10, so 1 game more than Russian on 25 points. So it's all there to battle for. But Corinthians have climbed up the table a little bit before today's game, and they'll be happy enough. This morning they started 10 points behind Peel. Now they're 13 points behind them, but 2-0 I think is a fair result for a very young Corinthians side. And the goal scorers for Peel were Kieran Broadhead. Well done, Kieran. He got the first one. Joe Crookall got the second.
Very well. And last but certainly not least, DPS Limited Combination 2. And we start here. Braddon 8, Colby 1.
Yeah, some goals in this league. And it was Dave Kate, I think it was. I've got down here as 2 goals. Ryan Edwards got 2. Reese Lake, Will Tier, Charlie Knight and Adam Fair. Shearer, as everyone knows him. We haven't got Colby's goal scorer. 166 177.
Goals in all the other fixtures as well. And a belter, 6-goal belter between Foxdale and Castletown. 3-3 between the two sides.
Yeah, it was. And Ollie Lee with one of the goals for Castletown. Rob Powler got the other, Rob Power. And Ben Anderson got the third one. Haven't got Foxdale's goal scorers.
And if you thought that was enough goals, think again, because 9 goals in the next game between Malou and Pulrose. Malou 5, Pulrose 4.
Well, I can tell you how the scoring went on this one as well today. Later score, Malou 0, Pulrose 1. That was after 15 minutes. Billy McBurney got the goal there. Then Malou 1, Pulrose 1. Don't know who scored that goal, but that was 2 minutes after Pully had taken the lead. Then Malou took the lead of the game on 21 minutes. On 27 minutes, it was Malou 3, Pulrose 1, and that was the half-time score. Then Pulrose got one back through JP Joyce on 52 minutes to make it Malou 3, Pulrose 2. And then Pulrose equalised on 56 minutes. That man again, JP Joyce, got that goal. Then Malou took the lead on 68 minutes, 4-3. And then Pulrose equalised again from Callum Dunn. So no one wanted to win this game, Rob, by the sound of it. That was on 80 minutes. And then it was Malou who got the 5th goal towards the end. I think it was the last couple of minutes. What a great game. first class and well refereed as well. And we've got here the referee was absolute class by a second person, and his name was Kelly. Well, it wasn't David Kelly because I was watching him today, but whoever the other Kelly was, take a bow. You've had good reports here from two people to say that your performance today was superb.
Always good to hear good comments and good feedback for the Manx officials. Do a great job each week in getting our games on here on the Isle of Man. That seemed like really one of the games to be at. And rounding things up, Ramsey Youth Centre 3, Michael 1 in Combi 2.
Yeah, and I haven't got any goal scorers, but Ramsey Youth Centre keep in touch, Combi 2. You know, they're a reasonable team, and Michael, a bit closer than I thought. I thought Ramsey Youth Centre would have made a bigger, wider gap in that one, but, Michael got it together today.
Well, those are your footballing results on the Isle of Man for Saturday, the 3rd of December. Well, Tony, just before we let you go, just a simple thing. We've had a lot of weather-related postponements recently. To see all these games going ahead, how good was that from an organisation side to allow it all to happen? Absolutely
brilliant, Rob. But when I see things like this, I go credit to the ground staff, because the ground staff worked tirelessly out there to improve pitches. And unfortunately, we lost the main man this year, Mike Atherton, who passed away, and Mike's input into the condition of the pitches and how to treat them is second to none. And hopefully we can get a new system in going, because the English FA also have funded clubs who have got their own pitch improvement grants to verti-drain it, fertiliser and stuff. But no, it's all down to the ground staff. And I know when I've seen some of the venues that FC Isle of Man have played on, and also the Ireland squad, they're nowhere near some of the conditions over here. And one of the major turnaround pitches I look at is Maloo. You know, congratulations to Gary Gilbert. It's incredible when I've been down there, the condition of it, how it used to be to how it is now. All hard work has paid off, and well done to all the ground staff.
And just one final note, we've just been told about who was the referee at the Maloo Paul Rose game, Paul Hodgkinson. So there we go. All credit to the referee given to Paul Hodgkinson. That's what I'm being told here by the listeners messaging in, so thank you very much for that.
Paul is actually an official linesman for the Championship football in England. He's our referee's development officer. He is absolute quality. He is quality, and that can only bode well with our officials learning from that. And, I witnessed today Dave Kelly. I've heard good reports about him. And, it's just one of those. I think we need to turn a corner here, because referees are only human. They will make a mistake and stuff, but, there's some quality here. And, okay, if the decision goes against you, look at it. Was it the right decision, wasn't it? And just congratulate them instead of chastising them, because we need them. And we've got some excellent officials here on the island.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, thank you very much. As ever, and we'll be catching up with you very soon. Okay, we're now going to move things on to rugby and action in the Regional 2 Northwest. Counties 3 ADM and Ravenscroft Manx Shield all this weekend. Douglas, Vagabonds and the Island sides all in action. And hopefully we'll be joined in a moment by Dave Christian to take a look through all of those. But first off, we will give you the classified rugby results for Saturday, the 3rd of December. In the Regional 2 Northwest, Glossop 28, Douglas 20. In the Counties 3 ADM Lancs Cheshire Division, New Brighton 73, Vagabonds 7. In the Ravenscroft Manx Shield, Castletown versus Western Vikings, an away win, Castletown unable to field a team. Emerging Nomads 59, Southern Nomads 24. And Ramsey 64, Ramsey B 29. Those are your classified rugby results for Saturday, the 3rd of December. Well, he's been waiting very patiently. We hope we have him on the end of the line now. Dave Christian. Dave, very good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, Rob.
Okay, let's take a look through all the results today. We'll start right at the top of the tree, I guess, as you put it. Regional 2 Northwest with Douglas travelling to Glossop. Coming into this one on back-to-back wins, you predicted that this would be a difficult game to try and make it 3 in a row, and it's proved to be that case, hasn't it, this weekend?
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm analysing the result and I'm looking at the timeline for the scoring here, Glossop were 20 points to 6 up at half time, and it's quite an unusual feature that sometimes with the Isle of Man side on the road, it takes them half a game just to get into it. I don't know why it's that case, and maybe it's the travel, the early start, the potential late finish. But sometimes you often see the Isle of Man sides on the road like slipping in the first half. In this case, it was a Chris Sonzak try for Glossop. Conversion of a penalty from Liam McGovern put them 10-0 up. Luke Hyland hit back with 2 penalties for Douglas before a try from replacement wing Zach Round, plus another conversion penalty from McGovern, give them that 20 points to 6 lead at half time. In the second half, as you'll see from the statistics, Douglas won the second half, 14 points to 8. But it was a little bit too late. They dug their heels in, though. They got 2 tries through wing Max Morley-Green, and Luke Hyland converted both of those. That actually levelled the score at 20-20, and McGovern added another penalty that put Glossop at 3 points in front, 23-20, and a late try from Jordan Marshall meant that Glossop finished winners by 8, and of course, if you're defeated by 7 points or less, you pick up a bonus point for the losing side, and that try from Jordan Marshall close to the end of the match meant Douglas didn't even get a losing bonus point from the game, which is disappointing for them. I think that second half performance deserved something at least, but just the wrong side of the way the guillotine falls for bonus points. As fortune would have it for Douglas, the teams that are immediately around them all had predictable results, so it hasn't affected their league position any. And they've got, as I said in preview, they've got that game against Vale of Lune in 2 weeks' time, and that's probably a better prospect for them to pick up some more points in the table. But disappointing today, just lost out by 8 points, and then that 8 points means they're just 1 point away from the bonus point as well. So well done to Douglas for a second half performance, but unfortunately just a little bit too little too late.
So a spirited performance from Douglas there, but just not quite enough to get the points today and try and back up those back-to-back wins they'd had. Not to be in Glossop, where we move on to the Counties 3 ADM Lancs Cheshire Division, and in contrast to what was expected to be a close contest between Glossop and Douglas today, Vagabonds had a very daunting task away to second-placed New Brighton on the Wirral, and New Brighton really showing their quality in this one. A bit of a harsh lesson for Vagabonds today. They knew it was going to be tough, and it proved to be the case. New Brighton 73, Vagabonds 7, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, Rob, you're quite right. Daunting task, New Brighton in second place. But further stat analysis, which is what I do when I'm sat in front of a computer weeknights just to keep me out of mischief. Further analysis of the figures shows that New Brighton have conceded the least number of points in the division and also scored the most. So they got the tightest defence and the most powerful attack. They're in second place. They'd won their previous 5 fixtures on the trot and are looking reasonable candidates for promotion. New Brighton, Hoylake and Garstang are probably the 3 to watch out for here. But Thornton Cleveley's just coming up on the rails. For Vagabonds, though, they're bottom of the table. They were 8 points adrift, and there's no real sign or indication where those points might come from. We know that it wasn't quite full strength side today. Mark Oldfield, for example, didn't travel. They're really missing Nathan Gibson. Nathan was actually down at Ramsey this afternoon, had a quick chat, and he explained that he's returning home to Northern Ireland, where he's originally from, and he's returning home in January. So he's got no real interest in playing rugby and doing all the associated problems that there are with travel. So it'd be a bit of a loss for rugby in the Isle of Man. He's a great player, great ball carrier. And he had a little trot out for Ramsey this afternoon as he was unable to travel away to New Brighton. So, yeah, disappointment for Vagabonds, but Old Betty and Port Sunlight both lost this afternoon. The number of weekends is dwindling now. They're about halfway through the fixtures. It's going to be 18 fixtures here. Vagabonds now played 10, so there's 8 left for them. And it's difficult to see where the wins are going to come from. We do have the new coach, Franzi Gamisha's appointed this week. Franzi's going to have to do a little bit of work up there, I would think, just to get things rolling for Vagabonds. But yeah, disappointment for them today. They're at home against Duckenfield next Saturday, and hopefully we'll get up there and cover that one for Saturday Live, and maybe see if we can get a chat with Franzi as well while we're there.
Very well. Then let's look domestically. There were originally 3 games scheduled this weekend in the Ravenscroft Manx Shield. One of those, Castletown versus Western Vikings. That was awarded as an away win to Western Vikings, with Castletown sadly unable to field a team. But otherwise, Dave, 2 intra-club derbies between Emerging Nomads and Southern Nomads, and the 2 Ramsey sides as well.
Yeah, I mean, intra-club games are always good because there's competition for places, and sometimes you find that the games will throw up injuries because not everybody is fully committed, and when you're trying to play at half chat, it sometimes doesn't quite work for you. But I can guarantee you at Ramsey there was nobody pulling any punches this afternoon. Yes, they're all great friends off the field, but on it was full on. Ivo Murray opened up the account for the Blues, who were on top for most of the game. Him and Brandon Atchison managed 3 tries apiece during the match. And there were also scores for the Blues from Dan Richmond, Harry Radford, and Jake Richmond. Richmond brothers both weighing in with scores. For the Reds, it was competitive enough, and the last 15 minutes were no scoring at all. But by that stage, the damage had already been done, and at least 3 of the Blues tries came from Reds' handling errors when they were going forward. So a little bit to work on for the players in training drills this week. Scorers for the Reds, well, skipper Matthew Meakin picked up 2 tries. There were 2 tries from fullback Luke Ward, and there was also a score from Connor Cracknell in the back row. But I think on the balance of things, Ramsey had picked 2 sides that were going to be reasonably competitive, but the back line from the Blues was just too quick for the Reds this afternoon. Down at Nomads, it was a different kettle of fish altogether. The Whites pretty much dominated from start to finish, whereas at Ramsey, 36-19, I think it was a half time, early in the second half when Meakin and Ward had added their second tries for the Reds. There was only 7 points in the game, and it was the Blues that ran away with it in a spell from about 50 minutes to 65. Down at Port Erin, though, the Whites down at Southern Nomads, they took an early lead. 2 tries from the veteran wing Andy Lean. Tony Quinn pulled back one for the Greens, but tries from Sam Kenyock, Jack Slight and Mike Evans restored their advantage for the Whites, and they led 37-14 at half-time. In the second half, John Jasinski and Josh Smith both added to Green's woes. Andy Lean bagged his 4th of the afternoon, and Mark Young also picked up a score late on. Jack Wallace went in for a try for the Greens, but it just wasn't enough there this afternoon. White's firmly in charge, and they're actually going to go top of the Ravenscroft Manx Shield standings. In fact, they're actually clear by, I think it's a point, and also have 2 games in hand. But I think those games in hand may well, at least one of them is against Ramsey. So that's going to be a tough one for the Nomads Whites. And I don't think we've got a date for that. It was a postponement from earlier on. So that's going to be slotted in sometime in January. And that match could well have a bearing on where the Manx Shield goes eventually. But 2 solid games this afternoon, big scores, lots of tries. And I'm sure there'll be 2 clubhouses or 2 pubs full of rugby players tonight clapping each other on the back because they're a friendly sort of bunch once they get off the pitch.
Dave Christian, as ever, thank you very much for your input.
Manx Radio Sport.
Well, finally this evening we move on to hockey, and it was the final action of the mixed hockey season taking place at the National Sports Centre in Douglas. And while there wasn't a huge quantity of games, we most certainly had quality in those games because it was Mixed Cup Finals Day. The Mixed Bowl, Mixed Plate and Mixed Cup all being decided today in some thrilling games. Well, before we turn to Ben Cunningham, who had a fantastic day down at the NSC for more analysis, we'll bring you the classified hockey results for Saturday, the 3rd of December, which are as follows. The Mixed Bowl Final. Ramsey Ravens 2, Bacchus Colts 3. In the Mixed Cup Final, Vikings A 0, Bacchus A 2. And in the Mixed Plate Final, Castletown Southerners 1, Harlequins A 1. Castletown Southerners win 5-4 on penalty strokes. Well, to take a look at all this and listening throughout the day on Saturday Live with Paul Moran from his reports to us from the NSC, it sounded like a bouncing atmosphere down there. He has certainly got his breath back now. He's all relaxed. He's sat across from me grinning there. He's had a fantastic day. Ben Cunningham, very good evening to you.
Good evening. I've just about thawed out.
It's been a cold day, hasn't it? But at least the rain held off, and it meant that there were plenty of people down at the National Sports Centre to watch some great hockey today.
Yeah, loads of people were down, and I mean, if you were listening to Saturday Live, that last game, the atmosphere down there was just electric.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into it then. Let's start with what was the early pushback of the day, 11:05 in the final of the Mixed Bowl, and it saw Ramsey Ravens and Bacchus Colts facing off. Ramsey Ravens, runners-up in Mixed Division 2 this season, against Bacchus Colts, the champions of Division 3. And it was the side in the lower tier that came away with the silverware today. Bacchus Colts beating Ramsey Ravens by 3-2.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about it week in, week out. Bacchus Colts' defensive record has been brilliant, and it proved it today. They were 1-up at half-time. The first goal came in the 9th minute, and that was Dave Parton's. A brilliant short corner, just put away nicely. 1-0 to Bacchus Colts into half-time. Ramsey lost it a little. They had a few players get sin bins and that, but eventually once they got their heads back in the game, they started to, create chances, but just couldn't find the goal in the first half. So it ended 1-0 at half time. And then second half, it just got going again. And within 6 minutes, Bacchus were 2-up. And it was a great goal. Just Bacchus got the ball in the middle of the park and just played it around, passed it around, and then they got 2-on-1, the keeper, and a cheeky little finish, and that was Alex Stewart for Bacchus Colts' second goal. And then the goals just kept coming, 3-0 then, within a matter of 3 minutes. Sienna Millwall then scored across. Ramsey just really couldn't clear the ball out of the D, and across into the D, and Sienna Millwall was there on the post. And you would have thought that was game over, but then Ramsey just found another gear, and then Ramsey then came back with 2 quick goals. First one came from Millie Gelder, and that was a pass from the middle of the park in by Paul Hunter, and Millie was there, just a gentle tap in on the post and caught the keeper out, 3-1. And you thought, okay, maybe Ramsey might do it here, and they did. They got a second, and Dan Stevens scored the second, and I must say his celebration was quite spectacular. I won't embarrass him too much on the radio, but yeah, fair play to you for your celebration. But then Ramsey kept going, but then sadly, just near the end of the game, there, one of the Ramsey players took a knock, and unfortunately, it ended sadly an ambulance job. But we managed to get the game finished, and it finished 3-2 to Bacchus Colts. But it was a real proper ding-dong affair to the end of the game.
Well, we do wish the individual concerned there all the very best and a very quick recovery as well. Turning to Bacchus Colts, a big result in itself against a team in the division above. Bacchus Colts, of course, for the next mixed season, will be going into that division. How well does this bode for them if they can pull that off against the runners-up of Division 2 this time around?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the way they were playing today, you would think they were a Division 1 team. They were passing the ball around. They weren't taking on too many tackles. It wasn't like 11 individuals on the pitch. They were playing as a team, and that's how they've won it today. They've played as a team, and they've won it as a team.
Absolutely. So Bacchus, as a club, taking the first silverware of the Mixed Cup Finals day, and they also got the second piece of silverware in the game after in the Mixed Cup Final. The old foes meeting for the third time this season, Vikings A and Bacchus A in the Mixed Cup Final. When these two teams have met in the league, Bacchus A 6-0 winners earlier in the season and then 3-1 winners last week in the final league weekend of the season. And Bacchus getting a third win over Vikings A this season to take their second piece of silverware in what's been a brilliant campaign for Bacchus A. Bacchus A beating Vikings A in the Mixed Cup Final by 2-0.
Yeah, half-time, 0-0, so it was all to play for in the second half. I mean, I know I said to Paul Moran that, the second half it's going to proper go up another level and the temperature is going to proper heat up. But, I mean, Bacchus went really close in the first half, and then right at the end of the first half, Vikings got a break and they went 1-on-1 with the Bacchus keeper. But the Bacchus keeper today, he was like a brick wall. Just nothing was getting past him. He was so demanding in there. If the ball came into the D, he was shouting, "My ball." So his defence knew, don't get in the way. I'm coming for this. And, they played so well. And then it got into the second half. And then 5 minutes into the second half, Andy Whiting goes and bags himself a short corner. Brilliant injection by Jamie Brown to Andy Whiting, and he absolutely put it into the back of the net, and it was 1-0 to Backers. And then the game really then proper got going. Vikings were, really pushing, throwing everything they could at it. I mean, there was a few tasty tackles as well, but the heat of the game really started to show there, and the intensity picked up. But then 21 minutes into the second half, Backers managed to get the ball into the D, a nice little chip over a Vikings stick into the D, and yet again Jamie Brown assisting this goal again, across into the D, and then put away by Ballard Craig to make it 2-0 to Backers. And then from there on, just Backers just really played the game to the end and just made sure that they cemented the 2-0 win, because they knew they had the job done, and they knew that all they had to do was just keep Vikings away from the goal. I mean, Vikings had chances, and they did come close near the end, and they did hit the post, and you would have thought, if they'd hit the post, right, well, but credit to them, 2-0 winners, Backers A.
Yeah, congratulations, Backers on a league and cup double there. And last but certainly not least, we had the mixed plate final between Castletown Southerners and Harlequins A, both of Division 1, and this did not disappoint this game. 1-1 at full time, and it went down to the drama of penalty strokes. And it's the Southern side who came out on top, wasn't it, Ben? Yep,
the Southerners are going home happy tonight. I think there'll be a party definitely going on down south tonight. Castletown Southerners winning it 5-4 on flicks. But oh my word, what a game. After both those games, this was the game just perfect to round off the day, and it had everything in it. It was end-to-end, goal chances going just wide, and there was goal line clearances, you name it. For Castletown, it was Zoe Shimon who got Castletown's goal, and then they went half time, they went 1-0 up, and then in the second half, just Quins really picked up the momentum, and then they got their goal from a short corner, brilliant little worked short corner, passed it around in the D, and then just nicely finished off by Rachel Middleton. And from there, Harlequins really picked up, the momentum. The goal really just shot another level into them. And it just had everything, as you probably heard from the commentary. And then if this game had everything. And this game for me was the game of the day by far.
And just very quickly, we've got like 2 or 3 minutes here. We spoke a little bit, didn't we, about where each side could get the advantage on the other. You mentioned Harlequins scoring goals for fun at times, but maybe a little more open at the back. And Castletown, with the way they move the ball about as well and their discipline defensively. From a neutral perspective, you watching on, did that difference in playing styles should provide a perfect combination for a day's hockey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Castletown, like I said in my preview, just passing the ball around, and then they managed to find gaps which Harlequins left open. But then Harlequins, they had their chances, and unfortunately just they couldn't put them away, or just the Castletown keeper just was able to save them. But like I say, this mixed plate game was for me the game of the day, and what a game to finish the day on.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, thank you very much as ever, and for some excellent reports out of the National Sports Centre early today on Mixed Cup Finals Day in the hockey. That rounds us all up for Saturday Sport Classified this week on Manx Radio AM 1368. If you have missed anything in terms of scores and analysis, you'll be able to catch this as a podcast very shortly after we finish here. And just one quick mention, in fact, just towards boxing, and we can give you the news that we got in the last hour that Jade Burden, who was taking part in the semi-finals of the women's 60-kilo class at the Algarve Box Cup 2022. Jade has sadly narrowly been beaten on a split decision by a really high caliber opponent in Italian Alessia Messiano, as well, a World Championship medalist as well. So a fantastic effort from Jade Burden out there running so close against such high quality opposition. Fellow Manx boxer who's representing No Limits Gym in Liverpool, Jamie Devine, he's back in action today in the semi-finals of the men's 60kg after winning his quarter-final yesterday. We'll wait to see the results of that. Well, thank you very much again to my guests as ever this week, Tony Mepham, Dave Christian and Ben Cunningham. We'll now be handing back over to Christy DeHaven. In the meantime, have yourself a very good evening and a very good weekend. So until next time, bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.